yeah, so if we want to add a setting, well, first let's maybe just make it display something else. So what I want to do is have a setting that's going to choose whether the block is going to display a list of courses or a list of users. So maybe let's first change this to a more generic name, content. And then what I'm going to do is do something similar, but I'm going to fetch courses instead from the table course. And right now, let's have a look at the table. We only have that one test course that we made and the default dev course, which is always there on course ID 1, which is just the name of the site. Okay, so we're going to get the courses, and then we can also display something. And I'll add that to the course. What do we have for a course? Well, let's have a look at our table. We've got a bunch of fields. What might be nice to display is just the full name. So that's what I'm going to put in here. Full name. Yeah, and I will maybe just comment this out for now. And let's refresh the page, and we should display the courses instead of the users. Alright, so we display our two course full names there. Cool. Now let's add a setting to be able to switch between these, with the settings, so we can choose whether to display courses or users. So for that, I will need a settings page, which I can set that in. So I will need to make a new file, call it settings, and this is how Moodle is going to load it in. So how Moodle does it is it goes into, on every page load basically, it pulls it in with this admin settings plugins file. Here it's kind of looking through all the plugins and loading them into the admin tree. Admin tree being the settings navigation tree of all the different settings, and that's how it kind of displays them. So a little bit down in here, it adds the blocks. So you can see kind of what it's doing, going through every single block and loading the settings in. And if we go to that loading settings function, here we can see is where it actually includes this our blocks settings file. As well as including the settings, it actually makes a check first to see that if this block has config. So that's a method we will have to implement and just return true so that Moodle will actually try to include our settings, and so it knows that we do have some admin settings. I just wanted to show you that first because this might look weird, because what we're going to do is check first to see if we're displaying the admin menu, because we only want to actually show and add this setting in that case. So that's what that first check does. And yeah, so the next thing to do is to add that setting. And all these variables, they look undefined here, but because it's included right here, things like that admin variable, well, it is actually defined, so it will work. So the way we add a setting is we call this add function, which takes one argument, which is a settings object. So let's call it an admin setting config checkbox. That looks good. And then this takes 4 arguments, which is going to kind of tell us like what the setting is called and what it looks like. Okay, and what we're going to put in here is the name of the setting. So we can call it something like block test block / show courses. That's kind of how Moodle will see what the setting is called, and we can give it a name of show courses and then a description, and this is going to just show up next to the checkbox to just kind of explain what it does. Show courses instead of users, and it can have a default value of off. Okay, that looks good. Another thing we have to add is a setting in here, a new function that Moodle will check to see if this block at all even has settings that it needs to include. And you do that with function has config, and we just return true because we do have config for this block. And now, well, we've got a setting, and let's go ahead and make a check for that setting. So maybe in here, and we can say get config. This is how you read in the config. You don't have to do like a direct database query or anything crazy like that. It should be called block test block, and the name is show courses. So this is what we set up here, block test block show courses, and we'll assign that to a variable, and we'll just make like a simple if statement here, I guess. Show courses. If we are showing courses, then we'll do something, and otherwise we'll do something else. So we'll show the users in that case, and we'll show the courses in that case. So that means our content will be set differently depending on what we do. So now if we go back to our site administration, so obviously right now it still works. So the setting is off, which means we're coming here by default. But let's go in and change the settings. So let's refresh to hopefully get the setting to show up. And we'll scroll down. Now our test block setting is in there. And we can see the way that the name, the description, and then Moodle's internal kind of name for the setting shows up. So let's turn it on. Okay, seems to be saved. So that means we're going to show courses instead of users, and that's what we do. So yeah, I mean we've made a setting and we've read that in with a get config call. The last thing we should do before making a commit here is fix this file a bit, because this in Moodle is bad practice. You shouldn't be hard coding in strings, but they should be rather outsourced into like a lang file and read in from there, allowing translations and allowing customizations as well. So let's put those strings into here. So we can maybe call this one, that's show courses. So I'll call the string show courses. So I mean the name in here you can make whatever you want, something that is easy to kind of tell what the string is, I guess. And then the way we read that in here is with the get string call. Get string takes one that is the identifier, which is show courses. Identifier being this array key right there. And what's the next thing we take? The component. So yeah, we're in block test block. So that's where it should get, well, that's the lang file, that's this name here. That's where it should look for this particular identifier. And let's do the same for description. Get string. Well, let's first put that in here. And we'll put show courses just like that. We'll just put it like that. Fine. And now we can copy that, put it there. Change that to description. Okay, I don't know why these are all different lengths, but yeah, hopefully that kind of makes sense. So we've still got the 1, 2, 3, 4 arguments here, but now instead of hard coding a string, we're just putting that in as a get string call instead. So let's refresh here. I mean, I think that actually might not work because Yeah, we get this error. Invalid getString identifier. So we've made a change, but we haven't, Moodle hasn't kind of read these in yet. So we need to purge caches, and then Moodle will grab all the lang strings again every time we purge cache. So easy to do. And we will go back to the root directory where we have all our main files, admin CLI purge caches. Run that. Now, as long as we've named them correctly, here and here, they should be found. It'll take a while to load, I guess, because we've cleared the cache. You can also see how it's displayed here with the brackets when it can't find the lang string. Okay, cool. So now it looks the same, but we're putting the lang strings in the correct spot, which is in the lang file. So that's looking much better. And the setting works. I mean, yeah, we're displaying courses now. We turn it back off. That loads. The setting is in there. We refresh. We show users again. So that's looking good. I think it's a good place to do a quick commit again from in our block. Git add all, git commit, add setting to show. Looks good.